And Svetlana, you can introduce the seminar, the webinar.
Okay, so welcome on 11th of September. So this is a date, of course, where we commemorate some sad events from the past, but also a date where we are looking at the transformative powers, especially of technology and PR, to drive a better and much more fair and good world. And this is actually a second IPRA webcast that's chaired by the AI chapter. And I have the enormous pleasure to introduce to all of you Fabio Brandt. Fabio is the founder and the chief executive officer of Brazilian Novo Selo Comunicao. This is the communications, so to say in English. This is a Brazilian strategic and crisis communications agency, which this year celebrates its 10th anniversary, just like IPRA celebrates its 70th anniversary. So Fabio is actually comes into the PR world to proof point a new trend that more and more experts and professionals with legal backgrounds join the forces of the PR communities to in order to help explain better to our customers and to the public audiences what is going on in the world. And today we are going to talk and to explain more about what's going on in the world of artificial intelligence, of course. And as the title of the webcast says, we talk a lot about what artificial intelligence will replace. But today, the topic of our conversation will be on what artificial intelligence cannot replace. And Fabio, without further ado, over to you. Of course, feel free to ask any questions. And we will, the questions that we won't be able to answer here, we promise to follow up in written.
Okay, so thank you, Svetlana. Thank you also, Philip, for organizing this meeting. And thank you to you all that are here. For me, it's morning. For some of you, it's evening. So evening or afternoon. So good afternoon, good evening for everybody. And first of all, I'd like to say that I have more doubts than certainties about this subject here. It's hard to say what AI can and cannot replace in PR, because if we think something we now think that machines won't do, they will probably do in the future. But I'd like to bring to you some reflections, and then when we have time for questions and for discussion, maybe we can interact and you can join the conversation and also answer some of my doubts here. I'd like to begin talking about trust and relationships, because I think of these two things as very human attributes. Our job in building trust and building relationships is something related to the human ability of empathy and to share experiences, sharing memories. In the PR field, I think of the events. Why do we like so much to have an event as a tactic for in the pursuit of our objectives? Because an event or a press trip or a trip, it's an opportunity to put people together, to gather people, and we can create opportunities to generate business, generate ideas, projects, people meeting other people. This is something very, very human. And I think in the future, maybe machines can be part of this process, but not all alone. And bringing that to crisis communications, I'd like to say here in Novo Selo, my agency, we look to crisis as a situation that threatens to break relationships and threatens trust that been built for a short or a long period. It don't matter. It's a situation that puts at risk the relationships and the trust. And our job as crisis communicators is to try to preserve those relationships, trying to preserve the bonds between institutions, between people. And of course, AI can be a great help in these efforts. For example, here in Novo Selo, we've been using AI in the crisis we work to analyze data and to put data together faster than we did before. We had this technology popular. Now it's more popular. So before we didn't have on work going so fast in this area of analyzing data. Also, we can write our press releases and we can write a public statement faster than before. If we think about more complex uses of the technology, we have personalized GPT for some of our clients, and our new employees can learn faster, and it's complementary to our regular training. So they have human based training, and also they can train with the GPTs. But at the end, our job is not to write a press release or to organize an event. We organize the event and also we will write the press release because we want to build something bigger, which I think are the relationships and the trust of people in our credibility, in our clients' credibility, public image. So AI is a very helpful tool at this moment. But the first reflection I want to suggest for this group today is about when AI get in our way, and AI can make our job harder. It can actually get in the way of the objectives we need to achieve as PR practitioners. I bring here a recent case of crisis we've been working, and it's not under NDA, so I feel comfortable to present it to you. It's about the president of one of the biggest soccer clubs in Brazil. As you know, in Brazil, we are crazy about soccer, as in many other places, of course. But here it has an enormous relevance for us. This club called Corinthians has more than 40 million fans. So it's much money at stake. Sponsors, brands, everybody is involved in this. And this guy was accused by the police of one of the Brazilian states of misconduct in the management of the club. Of course, he is responding to that in the courts. And there's also, he lost his chair in the club. We were hired by the legal team because they were worried that the negative news was impacting also negatively in the legal case. So our first mission was to secure space for the defense in the news, because at the beginning, the news was reserving little or no space to the defense. Only the accusations got some media, and it was impacting negatively in the legal case, right? One of the first measures we took was to call to everybody who was covering the issue. We talked to the reporters, and most of them were really sympathetic and accepted to add a statement from the defense in their stories, even in the past stories that were issued without a statement from the defense. They added our statement. And in the short period of 1 month, we got to reverse the negative sentiment that was present in the social media. It's helping the lawyers with their case. But I'm bringing here this case because there's something really, really curious and that made me reflect more about what AI can do and how AI can get in our way. It happens in Brazil, probably in other countries, but here some news websites have dismissed the entire newsroom. It's the case of MSN News in Brazil. It belongs to Microsoft, as you know. And now they just replicate news agents' content and other leading news outlets' content. But what is curious for me is that they don't have a human element working in this new room. So in the past, some other big, really huge audience news websites in Brazil have done that, but they kept 1, 2, 5 people working for them. So if you have any problem, you could reach out and ask, oh, can you secure some space for the defense? You are accusing somebody of something. This person is denying all the accusations. It's not fair to have any story that narrates only the accusations. Can you look at that for me, please? So MSN don't have that here in Brazil. It's the only one news website we have this issue, but I risk to predict that in the future, more newsrooms will work this way. For example, CNN in Brazil is already working with an AI to translate, I could say, translate what their analysts say in the television into texts that index on the Google research, and these stories are published on their sites. So, but they have somebody, they have human beings being accountable for what is published. It's different from the MSN case that I found here. So it's a point of concern of mine. I will lead the presentation almost to the end now, just by adding some other concerns I have. And I will mention some of the more frequent problems that are mentioned on the specialists' articles and discussions, which probably you already know. We try always to have a crisis readiness mind here. And now in the AI era, I had to add some points to this crisis readiness mind. For instance, we are concerned that our clients don't use AI models that can generate some race, gender bias or negative bias that can then affect their reputation or create a crisis. We try always to prevent a crisis, so we are looking to that. We know that we can do a lot to prevent crisis, but maybe that will happen anyways. So we are already thinking, how can we react if one of our clients is a victim of a hacking attack or of a data leaking? We try to be ready for that. Also, of course, we need to have some level of transparency about the AI and the machines that we employ to classify, to select people, etc. And we need to fight hallucinations, which are embarrassing. As an example, really recently, a judge in Brazil, he was on the news because he used an AI to write a decision. He was ruling about something, and he used the AI, which created some past cases that never happened, that never existed, and now he's being punished by the Brazilian judiciary. This is a really, really bad crisis to deal with. But what is more complex here are cases like prompt injection. Prompt injection is a text that's hidden in another text and cannot be recognized by us humans. It can only be recognized by the machine or the AI that will read that and can be manipulated by the prompt that's being injected on that. In Brazil, it's reason for concerns because our courts already allow the judges to use AI to write their initial draft of their decisions. So if an AI is receiving the lawyer's documents and analyzing that, they also could be manipulated by the prompt injection technique. And it can happen in our field of PR. For example, if MSN and Microsoft decide to open a gate where PR agencies can propose subjects to be reported on their website, a agency could also use a prompt injection to manipulate. So what's in common of all these slides I showed to you is the need of a human element always being accountable and verifying if the AI, the machines are working well, it's not working well, it's causing any damage to society or to a minority group or to anyone. Always a human needs to take care of it and make sure it's happening well, it's training the machine, and it's being accountable for it. So my conclusion is here. We have some examples of strong regulations like the European regulation. And I don't know if it's the perfect or the conclusive regulation, but for sure, we need a regulation. We need a group of rules where you can look to and take the answers we are looking for. This is work like a guidelines for us, but also it's important to make people who build and who run AI and machines accountable for what they do. If a machine causes any damage to anyone or to a country or to a society, somebody needs to be accountable. And I think it's a way to keep us humans in charge of everything. We need to be in charge of the flow of information. We need to be in charge of machines and not the contrary. So now I thank you for following the presentation, and I call back Svetlana to continue the talk here.
So thank you very much, Fabio, for this thought-provoking conversation, and I hope it's going to be an interactive by inviting all of you to place your questions here. Two comments from my side before we move on. AI is an area that at the moment everybody invests in. So for example, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta have forecast an AI spending this year could exceed 320 billion and this year, and this is up from 151 billion 2 years ago. So it has more than doubled the investment in AI. And again, to make this example more tangible for every one of us who is, for example, driving cars, just another example, 45 million of cars today are managed by the largest automotive cloud, which already applies some AI and machine learning tools. These huge investments, they create power, but also great responsibility. Something that we in the IPRA have acknowledged years ago by initiating our work on AI by implementing the AI rules and guidelines for ethical and transparent PR and communications. And we will keep working in this area in the same way like we did with this webcast today. So this is what is interesting, is that we will not have one single minute probably to stay quiet in order to be able to be on the pulse of the AI developments all over the world. And the example that Fabio brought is a very interesting one, not to say worrying, because if an AI cannot identify the fake or misleading information and can multiply it, then it means that still AI is the less intelligent part in the interaction between the human and the AI. But a question, Fabio, to you, what could happen when, at the moment, when the people interacting with AI will become less intelligent than the AI itself? What do you think?
Well, that's a great question. I don't think forcibly people will be less intelligent by interacting with AI because, as we know, there are many helpful use we can give to AI. It depends how we use it. If we use that to be lazy or to not study or stop reading books or stopping watching interesting things, maybe. But I don't think at the end it will happen because AI is something that comes to help humans to achieve greater goals and objectives. We can use that, as I said, to make our job to be faster in doing our job, but also to learn more, to gather more data together, to gather more details about complex areas. I've been reading recently about some advancements that we have in the healthy and hospital area that would not be possible without the new technology. And probably in the next year, the next year, the next year, the next decade, we will have something different from AI that we don't even know the name yet. And it will help us even more. It depends how each of us will use that. And also, again, I think the guidelines that IPRA gave to us and also the governments everywhere are debating are so central part of this because people have doubts, have more doubts than answers. Even the specialists, they have many doubts. Look, there was a data scientist in Google that gave up his job because he think AI is too dangerous. So he was certain about that at one point, and now he changed his mind and he has more doubts now. So we need answers, and we need a strong regulation that can anticipate damage and avoid that.
Okay, thank you. So now, so everyone, please, who wants to ask a question, raise your hand. Philip?
Thank you very much. I'm Philip Shepherd. I'm Secretary General of IPRA and your host for this meeting. We have a technical issue and the chat isn't working, so for any questions you need to do that by raising your hand and then turning on your microphone when you're invited by Svetlana to ask the question. And if you choose, we can also put your camera on and we'll see you on screen. And this particular event is being recorded and will be available on the IPRA website next week. My question to Fabio was, you mentioned that a regulation is required, and I wonder if you think that each country should try in the short term to regulate and then perhaps coordinate at the international level, or do you think we should coordinate at the international level as a priority?
Fabio?
For sure, a international regulation would be required in order to everybody sharing the same goals, but probably it will happen as it happens in other areas. For example, we have some international agreements about war and weapons usage, and not everybody shares the same vision about that. It will probably be the same here. In Brazil, we have a broad discussion here in the Congress and also at each of the 27 states level, and probably we will not arrive in a point where everybody agrees what should happen. But the most important is if the discussion is happening, people are paying attention to that. There's something to be discussed and answers will come. People at individual level will also reflect about that and come to their own conclusions. Because without this discussion happening in the national or international level, people will not be comfortable to have their own conclusions. Not everybody is a specialist. I mean, I'm talking about that as a curious also. I do not have the answers. I am not a specialist. I have a degree in journalism and then a master in public relations. And at the time I went to school, this was not a subject of discussion, of course.
But still, I think regulations are needed. But of course, our work as PR professionals, spreading the information on the transparency, on the ethical use of AI, on transparency, will do a lot by convincing majority of people of how they're on the right ways to use and leverage AI. Because if there is a less intelligent person leveraging a very intelligent AI system, nobody knows what can happen. Leon, now over to you for a question. Leon, you have to unmute yourself. No, you have to unmute yourself because I cannot unmute you. Philip, can you unmute Leon?
No. Oops.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So sorry. Thank you. I am in the United States, and so regulation is quite a challenge. But thank you for mentioning, Svetlana, that we as a profession, and Fabio, we as a profession are absolutely committed to the ethical use of AI. I want to ask you, Fabio, about the lack of transparency and speak to that a little bit, because I don't, even though we say that AI should be disclosed, it doesn't seem to, it seems all over the map, if you will. So if you could speak to that point.
Well, I brought that to the presentation because as PR practitioner, I'm concerned about the questions my clients can receive if they are employing an AI model to select people, for example, if they have a job and they start selecting people for that job and an AI will do the selection, people will want to know what are the criteria? How are you selecting people? Why are you setting apart somebody? And that can be a focus of crisis. So I noted that there is this claim of transparency of the models. Even the big AI companies have been questioned about that. So as a PR practitioner, I'm concerned about the consequences of the lack of transparency on this.
Thank you. I agree.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, we have to deal with lack of transparency all over, and not only in AI, but in any case. And we have now a question coming from Bhavani Guido. I hope I did pronounce your name correctly, Bhavani. Please go ahead, unmute yourself, and go ahead with your question. Philip, can you unmute Bhavani Guido?
Svetlana, Philip here. I can only mute participants. I can't unmute, and they have to do that themselves.
Okay. So Bhavani, if you can please unmute yourself and then ask your question, then we will be able to hear you. Otherwise...
Okay. Bhavani, in order to unmute yourself, you have to click on the microphone logo, which is at the top of your screen.
Yes.
It seems not.
Yeah. Okay. And in the meantime, so in the meantime, if I can comment on AI, yeah, AI is extremely helpful when, for example, if we go back to the automotive industry, so now software-enabled vehicle tests can take less time and less investment and less resources than the tests that the automotive producers were obliged to do beforehand. So this is something that's very tangible and very, very practical, and AI can undoubtedly help. With the help of AI, for example, the development cycle of one car can be shortened to as much as 50%, which is from 4 years to 2 years. Today, by the way, in Munich, in the automotive industry, they introduced a car that was developed in less than 24 months. And it was developed because of the technology, the possibilities technologies can offer to the developers, because of machine learning algorithms and because of AI. So these are all huge advancements. So the key question, however, the key question still remains in the intelligence. So Bhavani is back with us. Bhavani, can you unmute yourself? Yes.
Yes, finally it worked. I've unmuted myself. Thank you. And you pronounced my name right. Thank you for that as well. Hi, I run an agency working on public health communications in India. And this is a market where the use of technology in various languages is very, very predominant. And in one of the programs that I work on, which is a very critical life-saving vaccination program from the government, the chances of very high risk of AI sharing misinformation on the vaccine itself can hamper the uptake of the vaccine. So in those situations, I really appreciate the initial slides that you showed on crisis communication and emotional intelligence and so on, and that's very, very particularly important for the program that I'm working on. But how do I therefore work towards addressing the misuse of AI to spread vaccine misinformation or any such public health misinformation, because that's a big risk that the government is also cognizant of in taking very high measures to address that as well. So back to you. Thank you, and thank you for a wonderful presentation.
Well, in Brazil during the pandemic, we had a massive spread of misinformation about vaccines and other health security measures that should be adopted. And at that time, ChatGPT was not popular as it is today. So at that time, I remember the government and private institutions started their own campaigns to fight misinformation and fake information. I think education would be our role of educators, because in some PR campaigns, our role is to educate or to leverage the level of knowledge of a certain public about something. And now it is for sure a challenge for everybody. I am with you in this challenge. Next year we will have general elections in Brazil, and the one big concern here is about the deepfake videos, because now it's easier than ever to produce a deepfake movie. We have a positive side of that. On one hand, the political parties and candidates can produce their own videos, spending less money. In Brazil, all the campaign money comes from the public, comes from the government. So we are not allowed to have private companies financing campaigns here. So we can now spend less public money on the campaigns because we don't need a professional camera like a Spielberg camera or a great studio, etc. But also we are threatened by these deep fakes video that can be harmful to our country and to the elections. It can, for example, make a candidate say something he or she would never have said. It's a big challenge, and also I think the technology can give us the response. They could have new technologies, so we can be sure of the authenticity of the contents and be sure that the one who is appearing in the video is the one who accepted and uploaded the video on the internet. We'll need to be creative, but also these new technologies, AI, made it faster to spread the misinformation, for sure. We should be using that to fight the misinformation also.
The most recent AI fake that I can remember was the one with Kylian Mbappe, as we are on the football topics, commenting on the PSG wins, and it was a true fake, and it used to look so real, and it caused a lot of. Not sure if you remember the case, but his word and his brand was misused in such a brilliantly realistic way that it drove a lot of commentaries, and also the other example that I can remember here in terms of fake videos, that actually the price was paid by one candidate for one political candidate was in Slovakia as well. So yeah, it's huge. The threat is huge, and therefore the mandate to PR professionals is even bigger, because we are the ones to drumbeat, to not to get tired to repeat that actually the goodwill should prevail in all these things. So AI should be leveraged for the good, and not to augment the lack of justice, lack of fairness, not to divide. So that's also one of the biggest opportunities that lies ahead of us as PR professionals, independently of what we do for living. Because we should be able to understand a bit more about, not only about how AI works, but also about the threats that it has within itself. So we need to discuss openly these things. Any more questions? One. Any more questions? Two. So if there are no more questions, Fabio, any closing remarks from your side?
No, I just want to thank you. Thanks also to Philip and the IPRA for allowing this moment. I think it's great. In our monthly meeting in the AI chapter, which is led by Svetlana, for those who doesn't know yet, we have great discussions. I think it will be great to have all of you with us if you want to also.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic invitation, Fabio, and I thank you very much. So anyone who wants to become part of our AI chapter, please write us an email. You can have the email of the official email of IPRA. Write us an email. Also give a justification. How could you contribute to our discussions? And we will be very happy to come and invite you to be part of our community.
So Svetlana, thank you very much for that, and also Fabio for the presentation. We're going to close this meeting now, and as Svetlana has done so, you're all invited to join the IPRA AI chapter, which is a privilege of IPRA membership. All details about that are on our website, www.ipra.org. There you'll find a contact form if you want to ask further questions, and I can send you full details of the benefits of membership. So, for all of you listening, to our presenters, thank you very much, and we'll end the discussion now. Bye-bye.